The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. Two live NBA players in the studio. David Lee, Stephen Curry. What are you, 22 and 10? Is that the record?
Officially, yes.
Unbelievable. I gotta say, I didn't see it coming. I picked you to go under 500.
Dang, man.
I mean, this is like, what are you, the 5 seed?
At least you're honest, though.
I was honest. I'm always going to be honest.
Advantage right now as of January 3rd.
Here was my thinking. So I didn't think you'd have Bogut, which I was right? The ankles thing, I didn't know what was going on with that. You were coming off the, what's the staph infection?
Elbow, right?
Elbow staph infection. I didn't know about it. It just felt like too many ifs for me. And then, like, you look at the history of the franchise, and it seems like, you know, I even wrote about this in March. Like, it's just the Warriors, every time something good has happened, then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from under you. And this year, there's been no rug pull. What was the West Coast trip? Seemed like that's when it came together?
East Coast, yeah.
Or the East Coast trip, I'm sorry.
7 games. Probably, obviously, our longest of the season, going 6-1.
You won your first 4 or 5?
We won our first 5 and then dropped one in Orlando. Then back-to-back beat Atlanta on the way home. So that's probably, I mean, that was a wake-up call for everybody that you know, we're for real this year. So. And
this is the most wins. This is the most over 500 you've been.
Absolutely.
You've had really bad luck.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been in some interesting situations.
So 06 when you came in the league?
Yeah, 06.
The Rondo draft.
Absolutely.
You came in tail end of the Isaiah, all that stuff.
Oh, I had Larry Brown my rookie year.
Oh, God.
I had Isaiah for 2 years and then Mike D'Antoni for 2. So I could write a book. I've seen quite a bit on the East Coast and even on the West Coast now. But this is it's all been worth it because this has been fun thus far this season.
In the last 2 years of the Knicks, they were basically just clearing all their cap.
Right, they're
hoping LeBron James was
they're making the LeBron play, yeah, and it didn't work out that way. But you know they've done well as well.
Were you mad that they didn't bring you back? I mean, you were playing pretty well for them.
You know what? I was frustrated because I loved it in New York, but at the same time, I think I understood the circumstances. You know, having a chance to get a LeBron James is something that that they want to make a play on, and they played all their cards in order to get that done, and it didn't work out.
Contract wasn't bad either.
Yeah.
A little silver lining at the end of that, right?
Who were you looking at? When you said you weren't going there, who were the teams that were in the mix?
I had Toronto to replace Bosch when he left, Utah to replace Boozer when he left, and Phoenix to replace Amari when he left, when all those guys shifted in that same summer.
Toronto, you got to deal with Canada, you got to deal with the weird taxes. The Utah, you got to Salt Lake City. Actually, people like Salt Lake City, right?
Really?
It's a destination?
First
Yes, no?
First time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
My dad played there for a year.
People like
got out of there
Phoenix.
quick.
People like Phoenix a lot, yeah.
Oh, yeah, your dad played there. How many years?
Just one. He got out of there after his first year in the league.
You played? So then go say you were there already with Monte, and you guys had the trade rumors swirling around you.
From
basically for day one.
From day one, we had Steven Jackson, who had some drama going on with the team my summer before my rookie year. So we got the media day was a lot of fun.
Oh, that was the year he demanded to get an extension? Or?
Yeah, he got it, then demanded the trade right after it, and then there was that going on. Monte made some comments before or during media day about playing with 2 small guards in the backcourt together. Just a lot of stuff going on for a rookie.
I actually liked you guys together. I was in the minority.
Fun to watch, man.
It was fun to watch.
I don't know if you would have won the title, but it was really fun and dangerous. And actually, they basically had the same thing in Milwaukee. Jennings is a different guy than you, but it's really tough to the Celtics can't do anything against that team because they don't have the guards to kind of, they're doing those weird handoff plays and.
They got 2 speedy guards. I mean, Brandon and Monte are both quicker than I am, so have those 2 guys have to worry about attacking the paint and things like that. It's tough.
And I feel like gets a slightly bad rep because he plays hard. I've never seen him he doesn't mail in games.
One thing you can't say about him, he'll play through injury.
Yeah.
He'll lay it on the line every single time on both ends of the floor. Monte Ellis has it all.
He does, as we've heard.
So how long did you play with Jackson?
Wait, who?
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson. For 3 weeks during the regular season, I think.
It seems like he's weird because he's a strange player, obviously, to the public because he's been involved in a whole bunch of things. But it seems like the teammates and the coaches love him.
He's a great guy. I mean, obviously, he had his personal issues with organization and things like that are out of the locker room's control. But when he's in the locker room, he's the same guy like Monte. Like he lays it all on the line, goes above and beyond for his teammates. So he has a great rep when it comes to people he's played with and coaches that have seen him day in, day out. So
is Jared Jack like that?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
I would say he's like a great veteran.
Yeah, he's been great. We talk about Steph and I being the leaders of this team. He's been a great guy as well in the locker room and provides a lot of stability in that second group. And if you look at some of our best lineups, I don't know the plus minus, but when Steph and him are in together, it's good that Steph doesn't have to handle the ball for 45 minutes a game. Can be off the ball sometimes and gives him a break. So Jack and Carl Landry specifically have been great for us in that second group.
It seems like the 3-guard is the best lineup from what I've seen. When Klay Thompson, I guess he's a swingman, but those three with you, and then I guess
I have a lot of fun in that lineup because it's tough to double team when you got those three guys ready to shoot, so it makes it easy.
It's ridiculous. And plus, the good thing is, I think one of the reasons this team is winning, you have all these guys who haven't been in a good situation in a while. Right. Even Jared Jack was that was a really unhappy New Orleans situation.
We were talking about that. Somebody asked about just the chemistry among everybody, and nobody's really going to fall in love with success because we haven't really.
Right.
Nobody's
consistently.
Nobody's consistently been in the playoffs. Nobody's consistently had winning records like we talked about. So we're all we're enjoying the ride, and winning is fun. So you have to remember how you got there.
Tell me about your ankles.
What do you want to know?
Well, you kept spraining them, and they couldn't figure out why you were spraining them. And after a while, it was like, what's going on? Is this just going to be one of those guys who just keeps getting hurt? What is different this year?
Well, we've gone through 2 surgeries where the first time we tightened the ligaments because they were torn. So it was just basically a reconstruction of my ankle. And then last summer we had a scope to clean out all the inflammation and scar tissue. I think last year I put myself at disadvantage, not giving myself enough time to recover.
Came back too soon.
It was a lockout year, and you're trying not to miss games because if you miss 2 weeks, that's 7 games could be versus or 7-8 games versus now the games come a little slower. So, but going through all that whole process and figuring out, give myself enough time to heal properly. We've done everything we can to tighten the ligaments. We're wearing a brace now and different shoes, so everything's starting to fall into place. And
was the shoe do you have one of those things where your feet are not?
No, you just try to find the most sturdy. You just try to find the most sturdy one that doesn't give as much, but it still gives me freedom to play. I don't want to have this 8-pound boot on my foot.
Right. So you must be an expert on the ankle.
I know. Point. You give me a model ankle, I can tell you all you need to know.
And you had the staph infection. Your old teammate, was he your buddy or you didn't like him?
No, Wilson's a good guy. That's what made it even funnier. Yeah,
he left his tooth in your arm.
That was right when I got to Golden State. To talk about a strange situation, I go through that and I think I'm fine. I think I just have a cut on my arm. Next thing you know, I had 2 surgeries. I'd never had surgery before in my life, so I never really missed any games and tried to come back too early as well.
Oh, that's right. That was 2 years ago. I was thinking that was last year. Yeah. I saw the Celtics there the last 2 years, and when I was telling you before, one of those years you looked like Ronnie Brewer, you couldn't bend your arm all the way. And I was like, why is this guy playing?
I'll tell you what, it was quite an interesting situation. I never want to go through something like that again. It's just a bad feeling when you go, and I know Steph went through this a little bit. When you go to the doctors and they kind of look at you like, we'll give you our best guess on what's going on. You know what I mean? Because and you're just kind of looking around like, come on now, just tell me what I need to do. You're used to spraining an ankle or spraining a knee and say, okay, ice it, do this, do that, and you'll be fine. But it's tough when the doctors say to you, we think this is what's going on. We could do this, we could do that. It kind of puts you. It's
always bad. John Wall, I remember right before the season, my buddy is a huge Wizards fan. They said the prescription for John Wall was rest. my buddy was like, that's bad. Rest is bad. Rest means they don't know what's going on. And he was right. It's been 2 months later and he hasn't played. But usually when rest usually means
Let's hope it clears up.
The body figures it out.
It clears up. So what's up with Bogut? Because if you put even 2009 Bogut on this team, because you have a rookie playing, Ezeli, who's been pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's not Andrew Bogut. Can you get him back this year?
I think so. I think he started the season, played a few games, and had kind of a loss of explosion in that ankle, and I think was sort of alarmed at the fact he didn't feel like he did previously before the injuries and the surgeries. So he's working every day to get back, and the biggest thing is right now I think that we bought ourselves some time with how the team is playing, that he can get back to 100%, and we've also gained great minutes for Festus and for Andres, so that when Andrew does come back, the rest of those guys now have the experience, and I think it's gonna help us in the long run.
Seems like a good guy.
He is a good
teammate.
Guy.
Australian.
Australian. Have you ever met a rude Australian? I haven't.
Australian's probably my second favorite country. I've never met an Australian where you don't walk away going, that guy's a good dude. I like that guy.
Nice guy.
Yeah. He seems like he'd be fun to go on road trips. He's been traveling with the team and stuff, right?
A couple trips, yeah. Staying involved. He's wants the best for the team. He's an intense guy, so it's all business when you're in the locker rooms.
Tell me, without getting too basketball nerdy, why you guys are so good defensively, because it seems like and I know Mike Malone's involved, and he's now getting buzz as the next head coach.
Right.
That's like a Tom Thibodeau of the West Coast. But you guys seem to have some sort of weird philosophy. Not weird, but a philosophy that you're sticking to. Last year you couldn't play defense at all. This year you protect the rim. Everybody's moving around. What's different?
Well, my experience with teams I've played on, and you've had sort of you had to have to, with small guards like myself and Monte, you had to have some kind of gimmicky defensive scheme every single night to go at. If Dwayne came in, we had to try to force him a different way. Only him, he can go left on the left side.
Dwayne was probably
left,
excited to
right
play
on the
you.
right side. So different guards like that where you have to figure out a different way. We have a consistent strategy now. It's we're sticking to it. We get better at each game. We practice it every single day. And no matter who we're playing, if we execute what we're supposed to do, we're gonna be in good shape, and we rebound the ball better than we have.
You guys are great rebounding. Best rebounding team, I think.
Yeah, so we're one of the best. And last year we were almost dead. We're 30th in the league. So that's been the biggest thing. I think a lot of times we look back. The coaching staff told us we'd get stops, and the other team would just play volleyball at the front of the rim until they made made the fifth shot. So the addition of the defense and rebounding has been huge, because then we just concentrate offensively, just playing free, open, and sharing the ball, and kind of let the defense dictate who's going to score that night, and we have plenty of weapons offensively, so that defense has been a huge change.
Shooting threes are always good. You got
No
multiple
question.
guys that get hot.
You have some shooters on our team. Myself, Clay, Jarrett's been shooting, I think, the best in 3-point percentage of his career. We have guys all over the court that can. Harrison Barnes, who's showing that he can get to the basket, explode at the rim, but also knock down open 3-point shots. It's easy. We lose the fact that if we get the ball to D-Lee, Carl in the paint area, D-Lee especially, he's so good with both hands, being able to finish and draw a crowd, and also be able to pass out that paint, that we get a lot of open shots. So it's a fun to brand basketball.
Barnes, a little controversial how you got him
Yeah.
down the stretch last year. There was some losing. There were some guys sitting.
Yeah, no,
The Utah fans are not happy.
Yeah, the Utah fans. We just played in Utah. Weren't exactly thrilled by that, but
Yeah,
I can tell you, Coach was up late just like he is this year, trying to find ways to win those games last year. So I can tell you it wasn't a too big of a conspiracy. But we did have some guys get hurt at the end of the year. Steph was hurt. I had surgery, so we yeah. So
was it one of those things where you could have played through the pain, but because you guys weren't doing well, why not have the surgery now?
Had we been a playoff team,
Yeah.
I would have found a way, probably through anti-inflammatories and otherwise, to find a way.
off.
But I still had to have surgery.
Yeah.
So it's not as though I was sitting out for a bruised knee for 2 months.
Well, you're playing the best you've ever played, so it was obviously a good thing that you had the surgery then and you got to recover.
Absolutely. So felt fresh for this year.
It is interesting though. Barnes goes 7th, and people were a little split on him, whether he was people thought he drifted in college and all that. I think he's been really good at it. The telling moment for me with him was you guys are playing the Lakers, which was the best game of the season. I don't know, you guys can't see all the games, but I try to watch as many
Well, we
as possible.
disagree that was the best game of the season, but continue.
No, it was the most entertaining game of the season. And At one point, Barnes, you guys just started posting up Barnes on Kobe. I was like, oh my God. And I don't know what that said about Kobe at this point of his career or whether you're that much trust in Barnes, but I was shocked. I thought he's taking it right through this guy. And then the other end, they're taking it too. It was a great game.
We've done that a couple of times in the past month more than a couple of times where you play through him a couple of possessions.
Yeah.
With Kobe, we played Boston. We went at Paul Pierce. Those guys they can guard the ball, but he's an explosive talent, and he's not going to shy away from those big names and try to be explosive. So
he's got a mature offensive game. He's not a rookie where you throw him the ball and then afterwards you're like, that was a rookie mistake, where he'll throw a stupid pass or go out of control and try to windmill over somebody, do something. He's very mature. Okay, he has a good mixture of being able to shoot the jump shot if they back up, but also get to the rim and draw fouls.
I like that he can not do that much but still have an impact on the game, which I think is kind of a rare skill. Especially with rookies, guys come in and either they go 10 for 14 or they suck. Mm-hmm. But very rarely do you see a rookie can come in and he can just do stuff and help out.
We've had that all year. We've had guys that have been more than willing to play roles and know that some nights they're going to get more looks than other nights. But Harrison's done that. Draymond Green's been a guy you don't see as much in the stat sheet, but has been unbelievable for us coming in guarding people. Did a great job on LeBron when we beat Miami.
He went at LeBron.
He did.
I was surprised. There was another guy.
Saginaw, Michigan. He's not backing down. and Festus has been the same way. So all of our rookies have done a great job this year in our second year, guys, of knowing that sometimes they're going to take a back seat and are going to play their role. Other nights it's going to be their night to step up when they're double teaming stuff on the pick and roll or double teaming me in the post. And so that's what's made our team. Nobody's really, I know you hear this all the time, but nobody really is, cares who gets the credit as long as we find a way to win.
That's the final level. Exactly. Guys aren't looking at the stat sheet. You got to work on Green's shooting, though. I think he's at 28%. He needs to go to Steph Curry.
He's actually a good shooter, though. That's the thing.
He's in practice. He's knocking them down. He just got to get his repetitions up. And I told, he said, for a rookie to shoot that percentage and still get consistent minutes, he's obviously doing other things on the court. I
wanted the Celtics to take him. We had 2 picks, and he was one of the guys I was looking at.
Who was it?
We took Solinger, who I was happy with.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, we played them the other night.
Fab in the D League is killing right now, so
I'm getting excited. He gave himself a concussion on a doorway, though. I don't know if you guys heard that. Yeah, he hit his head.
But that'll be a popular topic for you. I'll tell you what, I was impressed with that when we played Boston. Solinger is solid because you never know those guys that are kind of the Hansborough, Sullinger type of mold. You never know coming out of college if they're going to be Zach Randolph, where they can somehow finish even though they're not the biggest guy, or if they're going to be a guy that can't get their shot off. He's done a good job so far, I think.
Yeah, he had a really good preseason, and now it's just a situation where it's weird because sometimes when teams have too many new guys, they don't mesh and nobody can. And then other times, you saw with the Clippers, although you guys beat them, the second unit, none of those guys have played together, but they meshed perfectly. Bledsoe and Jamal Crawford, there's 5 newcomers, but immediately they were good. And I don't know, it's one of those things with the Celtics. It's we have these pieces, but they don't fit yet, and I'm not sure if they're going to. That was was that the first time you beat the Celtics, or what? Maybe 3 years ago, I think you beat them.
I beat them at home 3 years, my second year in the league.
We beat them many times. And again, we had to play them 16 times a year in New York.
That's right. You guys had some good battles.
We had some great battles.
There was a weird Quentin Richardson feud thing. Who's he with?
And
Paul Pierce? Yeah.
Still don't like each other to this day. Yeah.
And it's one of those, nobody knows why.
And KG just doesn't like anybody.
Yeah, KG hates everybody.
It just makes for some fun times.
What is it? Was KG, he ever gotten mad at you?
Oh yeah, I got to admit, I had to give the speech to our rookies, because he's the same type of way we were talking about guys earlier about guys you love to have, a guy you love to have on your team but hate to play against.
Yeah.
And KG is a guy that from my rookie year, the second you get on the floor, just completely disrespects you as a rookie.
Yeah.
And that's part of the intimidation factor. And it wasn't until my third year I figured out okay, I just need to ignore it.
Were you actually intimidated? You were oh crap, I got this.
That was that game we were at Boston, and I was saying to myself not only are we getting beat by 100 points right now, but you also have a guy that's 7 foot tall talking in your ear.
Yeah.
And you have Paul Pierce has 30 points in the second quarter, and you're saying to yourself, where am I right now? But I talked to our rookies before the last game, especially Festus, who was starting out on KG, and I said, look, no matter what he says, keep playing hard, keep your mouth shut. And I said, things will work out. And I said, let me be the one now that I'm about to talk back to him if he says something.
It's hard to talk when you're down 20.
Really up that road.
Yeah.
You look stupid if you are.
That was a tough road trip because lost the Clips just killed them. Went to you guys killed them. Then the Kings. It was 0 for 3 though.
I was surprised. I was
69
surprised with
points.
the Kings game. I was surprised how that worked. But.
Is there a team you guys have played this year that you felt like was better than their record that you feel like is
Yeah.
coming on?
We were just talking about
Yeah,
this.
we had we're 0-2 against Orlando. Got thoroughly beaten twice, once at home, once on the road. And just some games are just bad matchups, and that was one for some reason. Every time we'd play them, their guards would shoot the ball well, their bigs would rebound it well,
Right.
and they outplayed us twice.
Really smart veteran team.
Yeah.
That
Jameer's running the show, and Vucevic is playing pretty good
29
basketball right
rebounds.
now. Yeah. And they were gelling when JJ was making plays on the stretch. They were gelling when they played us.
I thought JJ was going to be like one of the big trade chips because he's making reasonable money. You can trade for it.
Right.
He's got a definable skill.
He's had a good
teams
year.
need.
He's had a really good year.
I don't think they trade him though. Why wouldn't they?
Right.
Yeah, what are you getting for him?
Future pieces, man.
Because initially I was thinking, man, you put him on Memphis because they desperately need that one more shooter. They just don't have it. You put him there, and that whole team opens up. But I don't know if they trade him. And I think it's a possible playoff team, maybe. When you played the Lakers? I forget. Gasol played in that game, right?
That was Nash's.
That was
Nash
when,
played
that was
that
when they
game.
had everybody for the first time. Yeah.
So you have Nash, and you're thinking, this guy just missed 4 weeks. This is going to be great. He's on one leg, and then he comes out and he's Steve Nash.
Well, I knew you knew he wasn't going to play until he was healthy. I mean,
Yeah.
and so you can only expect to see the real Steve Nash when he's back on the floor. And first game he played 40 plus minutes, or right at 40 minutes.
We've had two interesting games against them. The first game we play them here is the day they fire Mike Brown.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, anytime a coach gets fired, that next game, their team is just excited.
Yeah.
And then the second time is when Nash comes back, and we're on our fourth game in 5 nights, and all of a sudden they come in with this whole new energy, and we're just, come on. We should have had that game. That was the most frustrating loss of the year for us.
That the fourth game in 5 nights thing I want to talk about. So it became a big issue this year with Popovich when he sat those guys in Miami. And Stern came out and was talking about it, and it became a thing. What do you guys think is the ideal length for the schedule? Because most people I talked to have said
Good question.
That's a good question.
between 72 and 75 games, like you get rid of 7 4 out of 5 night situations, right? Like you said that game, you guys were dead.
By the second half, that's the first time I've ever seen Steph.
You come into the locker room and you're feeling good. Obviously, it's a big game. You're trying to trick your body into thinking that you're fresh and you're ready to go. We call it gas. We get our gas up, ready to go to play. And that third quarter, the first 3 minutes,
the bottom drops out.
It's like,
all of a sudden you go for that rebound. You box a guy, you go for that rebound, and you're just like, I don't have it right now. But, all teams go through it. I think it's an interesting question because I think when you look at, let's say, after 65 games this year of the NBA season, you can pretty much say there's 5 teams in every league in the East and the West that are definitely high caliber playoff teams. There's probably 5 teams that are waiting for the summer to start, which is a position we've been in the past, so we can talk about that.
Yeah.
And then there's only a few races for the 7th and 8th spot that really are even to be determined. So I see what you're saying. It's not as though, it's like other sports where you may have a 3-week, those last 3 or 4 games are so important. It's an interesting,
I'm sure the season would take whatever shape it is, obviously.
Well, but you guys call it schedule loss sometimes. Like, it'd be like, man, that was schedule loss. We had no chance tonight. We're playing a rested team, but
we were talking about that actually with a back-to-backs in Denver. There's this big thing about
the second game.
the second game
brutal.
if you're coming from a city far away and the altitude and all that. But I mean, that's just an advantage.
Let's be honest. Any game in that altitude is brutal. It's
gotta-
back to back.
When do you feel the altitude?
They're in Salt Lake
Right
City.
away.
Those are the two cities, right?
The first quarter and the start of the third quarter. Kind of once you get
Just in your
win,
lungs,
you're
you can't
okay.
get your lungs.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think it doesn't help the pace they play because you're out there and about 2 minutes into the game, Fareed's doing wind sprints up and down the floor, and I'm like,
Is he your number one? Good God, I can't believe I have to go against that guy tonight.
You know what it is with him? He's different. He's different because my main focus going into the games is rebounding. That's my main thing that I need to help our team with and kind of let the scoring come. With him, it's like the difference between a power rusher in football and a speed rush guy.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Love, you're going to wrestle with him the whole game.
Right.
Dwight Howard, you wrestle with him the whole game. You'll box Fareed out. You still feel him. The shot goes up, takes a bounce off the rim, and you look, and the guy's on the other side of the basket getting the offensive rebound. So he might be the toughest guy to box out in the league.
Wow. So he just basically jumps over your head. You're like, oh my God.
Gets around you and then jumps over your head.
What about Ashik? Because he's right up there in the rebounding too.
No, we
style.
haven't played Houston this year, and I just played against him when he was playing limited minutes with Chicago. But he's another guy though that I think carves out a space, kind of like Kevin Love or Dwight. He's
Would it
got
help
the
if
length.
Steph rebounded a little bit?
Yo, he's doing a good job rebounding this year.
Good.
That's why we've been better.
Going down there?
The ones that come to the elbow, I get them.
You got to get your 1 1/4. You got to get to 4.
I'm at that right now. Yeah. So there we go.
How about Zebo? Just a beast down low.
To me, he's the toughest guy. You know,
really?
Everybody's different. To me, he's the toughest guy to play against. Great motor, and I was his teammate for a year and a half. So
right.
I've had to play against him in practice, and to me, he's strong inside, can rebound the ball, and now he's playing more unselfish with that Memphis team. He's willing to give the ball up, and it always makes it easier when you have a 5-man that doesn't do anything. But Marc Gasol and him work so well together, it makes it tough. So I would say right now he's that front court is one of the toughest ones to play against in the league.
Where do you stand with there's buzz now about Marc Gasol maybe being the best player in the league defensively.
Really?
And you're going into a game, what shot blockers are in the back of your head when you're playing? You think oh, that little floater I have this game, I got to worry about this guy. How many guys are you worried about?
Probably Serge.
Oh yeah.
Because he's a guy that will come out of nowhere. He's a great weak side blocker. So you
don't even know he's coming.
So you finally get by Westbrook.
If you find some way to get around Westbrook, to the basket. KD and Serge are, they're both almost 7 foot, long wingspans, and they can come. They're pretty quick on their feet, so they can cover space pretty quickly. Other than that,
Dwight Howard's not really Dwight Howard yet.
He's still a threat. He's still a threat. He's just his presence there. He alters a lot of shots.
Right.
And even if he's still limited with his back or what have you, he's still going to be a presence down there. Just him being on the floor. So
how healthy did you think he was? He's definitely not 100%.
No, I don't think you see the one thing that's missing. I don't think you see the plays where you like you see now with DeAndre Jordan, where he'll dunk a ball or something. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm not underneath the basket, trying to defend that right now. And you don't have those plays, but he's still people are so down on him. He's still averaging 14 rebounds a game.
It's amazing. I feel like he's 70% and he's still getting to 18 points, 14 rebounds.
That's a pretty big compliment when people are talking bad about you and you're still averaging 16 and 14.
Well, because you play Westbrook, and that guy is just athletically superior. You're going against him. It's like going against Adrian Peterson or something like that. I feel like Howard was like that.
Right.
And maybe he'll get to that point again, but he's not the same athlete now.
I'm sure he's still getting adjusted to the new situation, new teammates who he's playing with, and where he's getting his touches and how. So
you're saying his new teammates are no, I'm just kidding.
How involved he is, and I'm sure he's gonna figure it out. But like I said, he's still Dwight Howard.
Is there any youngins that you like? Have you played against Detroit yet?
We played against Detroit.
What'd you think of Drummond?
Drummond's he had the potential. 6-put-back dunks on us.
Yeah, we beat those.
I like
him. He's another guy that's got that active bounce, quick twitch.
He plays hard too. I actually didn't think he was gonna.
He kind of got that bad rap that he
did.
Decides when he's gonna play hard now. But I don't know if that's the case, but he played hard against us. He had.
I don't like when big guys shoot free throws at a 30% clip. Makes me nervous. 50 is one thing, but mid 30s.
It's tough to play him, especially as the career goes on, to play him in the fourth when it matters, especially if you get a playoff team. That does go a long way.
And Bogut's got free throw issues. You haven't really played with him yet, but I think he's good. And then Beadrins is another one. It's almost heartbreaking to watch that guy when he's at the free throw line.
Yeah, it's been a rough. It was rough when Coach Nelson was there and the whole thing that they went through with the underhand suggestions and all that stuff. But I mean, I think he's at a point now where he doesn't mind. Coaches instill a lot of confidence. We try to instill confidence in him. If he makes plays at the rim and misses free throws, we're fine.
Yeah, that's what we tell him. I said, look, you rebound, play defense. You played great defense on Blake last night. You rebound, you play defense, block shots. I said, you can airball 8 free throws in a row. It doesn't bother us at all. That's not, you're not out there to be our primary scorer anyway. So he's played great minutes for us lately. I mean,
he was good for them in the what was it, the 07 playoffs?
I had to guard him like my third year in the league, and I mean, he would set 500 screen and rolls a game and just sprint to the front of the rim, and I mean, he's tough. He's tough.
The pick and roll, you enjoy it.
It's awesome.
You've made it a science.
It's awesome. I mean, it's tough to guard.
Yeah.
It's especially when you have guys that can make plays, both roll into the basket or pick and pop.
When
did you guys? At what point were you two like, oh, this will be fun?
I think we've made a lot of improvement this year on it. I think that because our first year and a half, we didn't run a lot of pick and roll. We did a lot more ISO.
Yeah.
And Monte would handle the ball equal amount to Steph. Now I think Coach Jackson's really fallen in love with it and given us a lot of, he'll just do a basic pick and roll play and let us kind of sort out, how the team's playing it and how we want to attack it.
And the more you guys do it, the better you get at it.
Oh, for sure.
And it's also like there's really only 5 or 6 teams that even know how to defend it, and everybody else is kind of, they'll send the guy under the pick and they'll do all the things you're supposed to not do, and then you make a 3.
We hope they go under when the pick and roll.
It's not a good move.
Cross my fingers for that every time I set one. So
how has Mark Jackson changed from last year to this year?
He hasn't changed. I mean, he's still preaching the same message that he was last year.
Literally preaching the same message.
Yeah.
No pun intended with the preaching part, but yeah, he March, April last year when our games we were just struggling to find one win. He was still, coming in the locker room motivated and in tune to try to get us to perform better. But he has healthy players now. A deep team that. I think he made a comment, if you have good players, you're going to be a good coach. But I think the fact that he was so consistent last year when we were losing, winning, trying to make us better, that it's just rolled over to this year.
And he delegates to his coaches, which I think is kind of underrated.
Yeah, I mean,
that Malone guy's in charge of the whole D, right? Like he's
got to be. I mean, he's a smart coach. He's got a hand in it. But from the whole coaching staff, Pete Myers we have, who's him and Coach Jackson go way back. Everybody has a voice. We have got Darren Erman, who literally has a computer walking around with him everywhere he goes, on the bus, plane, in the locker room, trying to show you clips of how we can improve our defense and what tendencies different players we're going to play against in the future have.
You guys study that stuff?
Yeah,
absolutely. We don't have a choice. He comes up to Steph and our joke will be like, "Hey guys, how you doing? Great to see you. By the way, a couple clips for you." He just like shoves the computer in his face. But I'll tell you what, the most important thing you want as a player, no matter what the sport is to go into the game feeling like you know more about the other team than they know about you, and that you're prepared for everything. We go into all these games, we know we have an identity, we know exactly what we want to accomplish. We don't accomplish it every night, or we don't always do everything we're supposed to do. But we know what we want to get done when we get out there on both sides of the ball, and we can live with that, and then we just go out there and play as hard as we can and have fun.
I felt like you guys were very well prepared for that Clipper game. Was it last night or 2 nights ago?
It was last night.
Last night.
Yeah, we were very well prepared. We knew the
top
top 5
coming.
or 6 things, and we knew that there were 3 or 4 things that if we wanted to win that we couldn't do, and the one real mistake we made is we made too many turnovers, but we found a way to get through it.
Yeah. What'd you think of that team? I mean, you must have been... It's 17 straight. They just lost. Figured they'd be fired up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, obviously you can't ignore the streak. They've beaten some really good teams during that streak, and they've been playing well. And their bench, you got guys like Jamal, who's obviously been playing well the whole year, but Matt Barnes come off the bench and being the X factor for them.
He's been incredible this year.
Playing D, running the transition, knocking down threes. Bledsoe, the way he can pressure the ball. They have a nice big rotation that they can throw in there, so they're deep and they play pretty well. And obviously Chris running the show, so
What's he like to go against?
He's one of the best. Oh yeah, he talks and
the whole game.
Yeah, pretty much the whole game.
To you guys or his teammates?
To us,
everybody.
Crowd, him.
He's a vocal guy. Let's put it that way.
He waddles around. He sticks his ass out. Just from the stand, you just see him like he's working the refs. He's working. Seems like he's working the room, kind of.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And so for most part, when he's out there, it's almost like there's never a moment where you don't hear him saying something. So.
You're aware. It's never like I didn't realize he was on the floor right now. I didn't realize he had been subbed out. Like you realized the whole time he's on the floor. So.
What's it like to go against Blake? Are you just worried about being on the poster the whole time?
Hey, I'll tell you what. Anybody that says they play against him and don't worry about that is lying. Like the biggest thing with him is to keep him out of transition, keep him off the offensive glass. But there was a few times last night he was at the top of the key, and a shot went up. Jamal would shoot a three, and he wouldn't go for the offensive rebound. But like I did, like the look over my shoulder 4 times, like don't run towards the basket, let the ball come off the rim, then have him decide to come in. But his athleticism is incredible. Him and DeAndre Jordan, so they pose like a different kind of threat than a lot of other big guys. So you just got to always be aware.
I aged myself because I said poster. Now it's YouTube clip.
Right now it's clip. Right. Yeah.
Now it's a clip. I mean, I've Clipper season tickets. Blake's had a dunk. Go on Twitter, just start searching Griffin dunk.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, it's on YouTube. It'll be like, hey, here's the dunk that just happened.
It wasn't you. You're not the one posting it from the game.
No, I'm not posting it. Okay. It's that guy, Jose 3030. I don't know if you follow him. He's putting stuff up in like a minute. Anything happens, he's got a clip up.
Jose 30.
But yeah, I mean, you're in one of those clips. That's it. Poor Mozgov.
Yeah,
he's still hearing about it 2 years later. Did you play with him?
No, he came the year after. Yeah, Mozgov and Perkins are the two that I guess will sort of forever be.
Perkins still isn't happy.
I wouldn't.
Blake tried to dunk at him the last time they played, and he
didn't let it happen.
He gave one up. That's the move now. Is you throw the elbows up.
But is there an in between? Is there an in between though? Either you get dunked on or it's a flagrant. There's really no in between because he's so strong that you can't really.
Wouldn't most people just rather have the flagrant? What's the fine?
Believe me, unless it was about 1.2, you'd rather have the flagrant. There's no question.
I think just watching the games, it does seem like that's the mindset this year. And I am worried he's going to get hurt. He's had some nasty spills. He hasn't had the one where broken wrist or something like that. Right. But he's had a few of them where when it happens, you're like, oh. The other guy is Bledsoe. Bledsoe is like just fearless. Like he's flying around like a free safety.
Yeah.
And he took a spill about a week ago, a game I went to against the Kings, and basically landed on his head and his shoulder. And if it was me, I'd still be down. Me and Vince Carter would be the two guys who'd still be down. He's gonna lie there like this. And Bledsoe just hopped up. He's like, yeah, fine. He's doing this whole thing. It's like, are you kidding? You just fell 6 feet. Tell me about. I have one more guy to ask about. Cousins. Because I went to that game. Cousins played great. All of a sudden, he started sulking. Didn't come out for the second half. And we never saw him again. He had gotten a thing with his coach. I like Cousins. I think I actually would, if I was a GM, I would trade for him. I think he's really good, and I think he's in a bad situation.
You're trying to send messages to the Boston front office.
That was you on Twitter that was
I don't think we can get him.
All the different
I might have made up a couple trades.
Trying to figure out how to
but
get him.
But the guy, he's legitimately talented.
Oh, yeah.
Very talented. Yeah, he's he can shoot the ball from the outside, put it on the floor, low post, he can rebound.
Beast of a rebounder. Good passer.
Yeah.
You've been in bad situations. Don't you feel like certain guys, if really depends on the situation? I mean, you played with Zebo, bad situation for him. He didn't play well. They traded him. Now he's in Memphis. He's a good situation. He's playing well.
I'll tell you this, it doesn't help. It definitely doesn't help. I mean, the group that he's with, I think, not having a lot of real veteran leadership and a lot of experience around him, and he's the guy that's sort of setting the tone.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't help. I mean, I'm not in their locker room, so I don't want to,
Right. But it's a young team. I mean, you can tell. It's a team of all first, second, and third year guys. Who are your quote-unquote veteran leaders on the Warriors? Do you count? You've only been in the league, 6 years, 7 years?
Are
you a veteran leader?
Almost in double digits coming up. So.
Oh, I'm 8
you count?
now. Yeah, this is my 8th year. This is crazy.
So you were 05 draft then?
I guess you could say that.
So you're a veteran leader.
I'm a veteran leader.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you go to LA, you're like, hey, young fellas, be careful.
Yeah, I do my best.
Stay away from
we got D-Lee, we got Richard Jefferson, Jarrett.
Oh yeah, Richard Jefferson. What's he been? He's been at least
he's 10.
12 years.
And this guy's like a 40-year-old, 23-year-old. So he's you can count him as one of our veteran leaders.
Well, how much does it help to have a dad? And people don't. A lot of my listeners are, I would say, 25 and under. Your dad was a ridiculous shooter. I mean, he was like really one of the first great 3-point shooters, and he was one of those guys who never really found the perfect team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They had it for 2 years in Charlotte when they had Larry, Zoe, Alonzo,
and then it just fell apart.
Then,
But
shouldn't traded them all, but
well, and LJ got a bad back, was never the same. But I mean, there was a time when it was supposed to be Orlando versus Charlotte for 10 years, and within 2 years, everybody was off both teams. So having a dad who played for that long, what was it, like 15, 16 years?
16 years.
Yeah.
And he finished when I was 13, so I remember his last 6 or 7 years pretty vividly. But
did you stay in the same city, or did you move around?
Well, for him, it was a weird situation. I was born in Akron when he played for the Cavs, and then when I was like 5 months, we moved to Charlotte and did the expansion draft in '88, and we were there for 10 years.
Oh wow!
So, and then after that, it was a lockout year. He was in Milwaukee for that lockout year, so we didn't move. And then he finished his career 3 years in Toronto. And his last year we
Did you live in Toronto?
His last year we did.
Oh.
So the first 2 we just went up every 2 weeks probably to go see him.
That direct flight from Charlotte to Toronto?
Charlotte to Toronto, right?
US Airways.
Or Air Canada, either one. Come back on Monday, go straight to school. But
so when did he start talking to you like man to man about stuff that you needed to know about in the league?
Probably my sophomore year in college. So
he's like, all right, buddy, it's time for me to unlock the vault.
Right after the
Here are the 19 things you need to know.
You see the girls in the hotel, move the other way, right?
There are 3 girls in the hotel lobby. Just go to the elevator.
Yeah, about right after our tournament year when I was debating on whether to go or not. I didn't go, so I had another year, but that was when he kind of schooled me a little bit.
Do you regret staying an extra year, or you feel it was the best thing for you?
Best thing for me. I enjoyed college life, and we had another solid years with Davidson, but I just got to work on my game a little more, add a little point guard skills to it.
Do you regret where you went to college?
Never.
Because you're in Charlotte. You must have thought about going to Duke or UNC being that close.
My senior year in high school, obviously, would love to go ACC. It was in my backyard my whole life. But, I couldn't control the recruiting process and all that. But playing for Coach McKillop, it was a unique story just being a small 1,800 student school.
I jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Well, you know about his team in college, right? We still run into all his college teammates. Like, we'll go to different cities to get them all. I refer to them as Steph Curry and the screen setters. So you got Steph running in circles. You'll still see like all his teammates, like all the guys, just still have like separated shoulders from 6 years ago.
Take him out to dinner, man. I love it.
Even at dinner, they're doing it.
Excuse me. Thanks for those screens. Steph Curry and the screen setters.
You were Florida, right? How'd you end up in Florida?
I made visits everywhere: Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. Went down there for Florida State football weekend. Saw the palm trees and the sights, and I said, "Sign me up." So that was kind of really like Billy Donovan, kind of the younger coach.
Oh yeah, he was slinging heat at that point, right?
Yes,
with recruiting.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah. So, I mean, you were a little bit of an anomaly. You were the white energy rebounder, dunker guy.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, most white guys, the ones that can shoot jumpers and can't dunk.
Contest champion.
Oh gosh, what is that? What was that? 15 years ago now.
Which dunk contest champ?
McDonald's All-American.
Really?
Little known fact.
I should have done more research for this. I thought I knew everything about it.
Like I said,
McDonald's dunk champion. Who'd you beat?
James White in the finals.
James White could dunk.
It's still a highly disputed.
Controversial?
Very controversial ending to that. He jumped from the free throw line with 2 hands, and my best dunk was like a through the legs, but somehow I came out on top.
Who was in that McDonald's? I'm fascinated by McDonald's All-American games. We
had Eddie Curry, Tyson Chandler. Kwame Brown, like the 3 bigs that were like the.
Oh my God! All those guys went.
Yeah, exactly. And then
when you were playing against them, did you feel like they were that much better than you?
I mean, they were all. I mean, Eddie Curry was. I've played against him. He's from Chicago. I'm from St. Louis. So I've played against him since we were in 8th grade, and he was that size. So he was pretty dominant as a high school player. Tyson Chandler the same way. Kwame was more of a guy that I think was drafted off of potential because he's such an athlete and
he won great workout.
Right, yeah, he had great work. Yeah, he apparently had really good workouts. And then we had DeJuan Wagner was in that game, who, as you know, was one of the best high school players of all time.
I think he would have been. I think he would have at least been like poor man's Monte or something. But
it was unbelievable. So he was a really special player. So we had a fun group.
I always find I love asking this question. when you guys are coming up, you're at a certain level, the AAU, you start playing against, like you said, you played against Eddie Curry 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You start playing against the same, become friends with some of them. Like, who is the guy from that whole class that you thought was just going to be a stud and wasn't? It didn't happen for whatever reason. At the time, you were thinking.
Oh, I think DeJuan Wagner would be that name. When I saw him play for the first time, that there was room. He had scored 100 points twice in high school games, and things like that. And you heard this rep out of New Jersey, and he was like the first guy I'd ever seen who had the entourage. So he would show up to McDonald's All-American game, and you'd come down. You've heard some of the stories. You'd come down in the lobby of the hotel before we go to the game, and there'd be 175 people. They're all his homeboys, friends, family.
Oh my God.
And he was like the first one to make it. Yeah, so it was pretty special. But and he was unbelievable. And like you said, illness kind of stopped him short. But he was amazing.
Who was your guy? Who was your class? Who was in your? I mean, you must have been going against these kids all the time.
But I didn't really play AAU like that.
Oh, you did?
I did one. I was 17 and I did a travel team. We played 5 tournaments.
Oh, so you weren't in the circuit?
I wasn't in the every summer.
Because your dad said you don't have to be in the circuit. He probably knew better.
When I was in Toronto, I kind of lost touch with the whole my community with basketball, with AAU and the whole circuit that you were talking about. So I came back. I just worked out, played high school ball. Then right before my junior year, I played one summer of.
He was just getting shots up.
Just getting shots.
You can see now. All of us were worried about games. I mean, he was just straight up getting shots up, just spot shots.
I didn't have. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't list off the guys that were in there.
Do you feel like the AAU thing is a good thing? Do you think it helped you, or do you feel like you would have been better off?
Well, I mean, it definitely helps you. If you want to get noticed, I mean, that's the way. It's tough to get noticed with just playing high school ball.
Well, for you, the way to get noticed must have been crashing the boards and just hustling everybody, right?
I had a great time doing it. I think being a high school player, from St. Louis, which there's some talent there, but if you look at it compared to major cities, you're at a lag. And to go there to these AAU tournaments and get to play against the best, I mean, that was a thrill for any high school kids to be like,
so you think it's a good
who
thing,
else is out there? You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's a great thing. There's a lot of corruption. I'm sure there's a lot of different things going on with AAU teams and coaches and things like that. But we had a really clean program, so it was good.
What do you guys think should be the age that players should enter the NBA? After what year of college? Or should you be allowed to come in right away?
I think if you go, you should have the opportunity to go out of high school if you're ready. If you go to college, sort of like the baseball rule.
Yeah.
Where if you go, you stay for at least
the baseball rule. Look
years.
at this.
This guy's a well-traveled guy.
Yeah. So either come out right away or 3 years.
You come out right away or you go for 3 years. I mean, just at least to protect the college game, obviously, but give opportunity for players who want to make that life decision right away.
Because LeBron was ready.
LeBron James.
There's still guys from your draft that were high school guys that are still making.
But the other side of it though is when you had those years where you had 15 high school guys saying they need to come to the draft, and then five of them making the league, and the other 10 you never hear from again. That's the downside of it.
When I become the sports czar, I'm working on my campaign. One of the things I think there should be a committee. And it should be for all, I don't know if you guys saw the highlights of Clowney in the football game this week.
What? That was the craziest hit.
When he shot the line. That guy should be in the NFL. What are we waiting for? We're going to put him back in college? This is where the committee should come in and just be like, guys, we're using one of our waivers right now.
Especially in football, where you see what happened with Lattimore on their team.
Oh,
where, you have a guy you'd hate to see, Clowney get hurt next year or something like that, and he never gets to see his full potential. I mean,
totally. There should be special cases. I guess legally it could be challenged,
show that favoritism a little bit or whatever you accept as best.
So do you guys pay attention to advanced stats and stuff like that? Do you this whole revolution that's been happening with these different ways to measure?
Oh, the Moneyball
5-man units and defensive efficiency. Do you even know that stuff's going on?
Not really.
No. True shooting percentage.
I don't. I've heard of that, but I don't understand exactly what that means.
I don't understand it either.
It's crazy to know
You're
we're
good
out
at
there.
it. You have a high true shooting percentage.
I just know my percentage always goes up when it goes to true shooting percentage.
Yeah, it's just crazy to know when we're out there just playing basketball. There's so many different ways of
looking at cameras
interpreting the game. Yeah, they have
cameras in
right?
to
see how many miles you run every game. It's unbelievable.
And they can break down every play.
Whatever happened to just playing 5-on-5 and keeping score?
One of the stats I like is the 5-man units, where they can keep track of how each 5-man unit did.
Right.
And
Is it based on plus minus, or is it?
It's basically based. Yeah, it's plus minus for the 5 guys. So when they're out there, how do they do compared to whatever? And that's actually useful because it'll back up stuff you're seeing where, like the Celtics will have these lineups where you're like, that lineup, that's not working. Why do we keep doing that? And then you look it up and like, yeah, they're minus 40. Like that makes sense.
Okay.
And then there's other lineups like that lineup we talked about earlier when you guys play. I think it's the one where you play Clay and Jack. And you, maybe Barnes. There's one weird lineup that like,
or Draymond Green at the 4 or something.
There's one lineup you guys have, and it's like, all right, this one's might be working. But
the one problem with that is though, if you, and I always notice it with plus minus is, a lot of times when the second units come in, you have our second units against the
their
other
second
team's
unit,
second
yeah.
unit. So it's not like it's apples to apples. So it's sometimes hard to like break down exactly. I've seen games where you're like, man, that guy killed us, and you look and he's like -6, and you're like, no.
Right.
There's no way. Like, he single-handedly kept them in the game.
And it's also, some guys, it's much easier to just play 18 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And you were one of the guys who was really good at coming off the bench and being really good for 9 minutes. But some guys can't do that. But if you can just go out and you just bust your ass for 18 minutes against the second string, you can have those per minute stats can be way up. And
the Reggie Evans, where he gets 6 rebounds a minute.
Efficiency is just off the charts.
There's a real art to coming off the bench, though. Like, you were good at it. Not a lot of people are good at it.
It's an attitude. That's all it is. I mean, I mean, you never had to really deal with these things. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, it's a lot of it's just when you're on the bench, kind of judging the flow of the game and finding a way to trick yourself into when you get in the game, realize that you're more fresh than anybody that's on the court, and just using your energy to your advantage. But there's nights where you're all warm and you're hype after 2-line layups, and then the starters go out there and are playing, and you're just sitting over there. Like, by the time you get in, you're limping.
Right.
You get cold on that bench.
Yeah, at least you have an excuse, though. I would use that excuse all the time. I use that if you lose the first game and pick up, and then you have to sit for 2 minutes.
Okay, we're loose now. We're loose. Yeah, we're loose.
Yeah, I do think it's funny. Like, some guys just can't do it. And I'm not to bring up players to make you comfortable, but like, I feel like Jeff Green on the Celtics is somebody that's just, he can't get the hang of coming off the bench. He needs to play 35 to 40 minutes. Like, he needs to get in a groove and get comfortable. And some guys just can't just come in and do the
There's
7
other guys
minutes.
that are great. Ben Gordon, Jamal Crawford.
yeah.
Those guys thrive off of kind of being that 6-man.
Well, Jamal's the
gunner.
best situation in the league. He doesn't have to guard anybody. He gets to shoot every time he gets it. They run every play for him. It's perfect for him. They hide him on defense.
He had some tough shots against us last night. Where
He's
you're like
shot.
I know I'm there with a hand up, and he just shoots. And I've played with him for 4 years, so he's when he gets it going, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Yeah, he's a big degree of difficulty. The Celtics were, when they played the Clips, they were playing him. Courtney Lee's a good defensive player.
Right. Yeah.
Was really making him win. He's doing these like fall away one-handers and these little double clutches, and he's the master
You're
of like,
scared
the
not to
crazy
get
shots.
too close because he gets the
4-point
master
play.
at the 4-point play, so you don't want to get too close. I closed out on him one time last night in the corner and had to make sure that I'm contesting like this.
Right.
So I don't get anywhere near his body because I usually give him that call. But.
So who's your least favorite guy to go against? Or the one that makes you think like, oh crap?
It's probably a tie between Tony Parker and Russell.
Tony Parker, interesting.
Tony, just because when they use that screen and roll, and he's just like a mouse just running around and going, he's really good at taking the angles and getting to the basket, and he's in the paint. That's where he lives. He's finishing shots, so chasing him all night is tough. And obviously Russell's just a athletic specimen, so he can go from here to the other side of the room in one step.
He's ridiculous.
I'm not sure I've seen a guard that
ridiculous.
athletic. I mean,
him and Bledsoe are the two people that I feel like we could have just cloned and put into other, like we could have put them in Olympic events and sports and just
the
whatever those guys want to do.
Just push it all the way down the sled.
Both of those guys are nuts. Wait, we were just talking about not Westbrook, the other guy. Tony. When you go against Duncan, it seems like it would be fun to play against Tim Duncan. He's like a good guy, nice guy. Probably says nice things to you, has the family.
Yeah, their team is very unique to play against just because you look at it on paper and you look at their personnel person by person, and you're saying to yourself, like, we should be better than these guys.
Yeah.
And then any mistake you make, any scouting report mistake, any half a step in the wrong direction, and it's like a layup 3-pointer, layup 3-pointer. They are so good execution-wise. they execution-wise, that's where we talked about having a game plan and following it. That's where our team would love to get to, is that where we know, okay, this is, and they've done it for years and years, and they've had that same personnel, and they fill in guys to play roles. But that's what's so frustrating about playing them is you're saying, man, I know Duncan is tired right now. I know that he's 40 years old, and one mistake you make and it's bank shot or it's offensive tip, and they're the best at it.
And he still feels like he's 95% where he was 5 years ago.
He's had one of his best years, in recent memory this year. I think he's averaging. We were talking about on the way over, like 18 and 10, and he's been playing great.
Last thing, let's talk about the Warriors fans for a second. One of the great fan bases. I love the Warrior fans. One of the great crowds.
I was talking, like, every game we go into, whether it's sold out or not, it feels like it is because they're basketball fans. They know what's going on.
It's the best.
The energy's always up. So
and lately, ever since we've gotten back from this road trip, it's like a rock concert. Like it is. I mean, the energy level of the crowd has been like nothing I've ever seen before.
Yeah. Don't you feel like you lose a little bit of that if you go from Oakland to downtown San Francisco? I mean, you're going to lose a tiny bit of it, right?
it's obviously geographically the Bay Area is, Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose. They're all different, individually, but we're the only basketball team out there, so we feel like hopefully that everybody will still, travel and come watch us play, and it'll be a better venue.
It's the most diverse crowd in the league. Like,
for sure.
The first time I went to see him, it was the strike year in '99. Weber was playing there. He'd just been traded to the Kings, and it was that white chocolate team with Weber, and it was like they were kind of coming on, and they hated Weber because Weber had gotten traded out of there and demanded a thing or whatever. And I'd never been to a game there, and the crowd was unbelievable, and they booed him for 4 quarters every time he touched the ball, and it was just an insane atmosphere. And I remember leaving like, oh man, it's too bad they don't have a good team. It'll be fun. Really, that 2006 was the only, or 7 was the only time.
They have a saying with the Knicks: once a Knick, always a Knick. Like a lot of the players would leave and come back, and they'd still get a standing ovation or an applause. We don't see many of those. Monte, for all the unbelievable work he does, when he comes back, he gets a great applause. Steven Jackson, no, he requested the trade. Never mind.
He got paid.
Baron Davis still gets a good reception.
Yeah.
But I mean, anybody else, good luck, man. You come back, and I mean, like you said, it's complete booing from the time they get in there.
I would say you've played for the 2 of the 3 best crowds, or at least the crowds that affect the game the most. I think Utah's the other one. Utah's crazy.
Sure. We were lucky. We just played them, and we were up enough in the fourth quarter, and in the back of our minds, we kept thinking we're up 14 or 16. Like, don't let them cut this to 8, because as you know, that crowd, when they're engaged, they're very, very good.
The Celtics can get there if it's a bad team.
They can.
Boston just had too much success, and you'll have these games where the crowd will just be mailing it in.
Either when they go on a run in Boston or when they check Scalabrine in the game, one of the two.
throw Portland in there too.
Portland and Oklahoma City, I was impressed by how loud. But I mean, they just had 1 year the whole time.
Only show in town. Something about that.
So you must have a lot of people just coming up to you like, "Thanks, man. I love the team."
As of lately, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of disappointed fans. If you're a diehard Warrior fan, you've been disappointed more often than not. So
getting tables now at restaurants.
Yeah, exactly. we have a thing. They always interview a season ticket holder. Every single like during one of their timeouts, and they'll do like a season ticket holder of the night, and they'll introduce themselves and stuff, and they'll say 2 questions are your favorite Warrior moment, your favorite Warrior player. Without a doubt.
99% of the time.
99% of the time. Who's your favorite Warrior player? Chris Mullin. What's your favorite Warrior moment? Oh, Baron Davis's dunk when they beat Dallas. When they beat Dallas, and there's no other.
There's like maybe one old timer that remembers 74, 75. That's their moment.
But every other one is the We Believe team. Oh, and Chris Mullin is my favorite player. So it's like you said, it's been some success-starved fans.
Yeah. When I wrote about the fan base last March after the incident when they booed the owner and that whole that was a bad night.
That debacle.
Right. And so I was like, just here's the history of this team. This is how the fans got to this point.
That was a pretty good piece, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Draft pick after draft.
Yeah, it was
nuts.
One time
you're like, wow.
They drafted the 5th pick. They drafted a guy, Russell Cross, in 1983. They thought he was a 6'10" center. He was 6'7". He showed up, he was 6'7". He played 40 games. But this was the franchise. And it's like, and I got these emails after that, and these people were like, thank you. I'm glad one person noticed that.
Our new ownership has done a great job.
You have a good owner.
Yeah.
I think he's suffered a couple of hits this first year and a half, but I think he's realized.
Comes with the territory of
once you start winning, it gets really fun to own an NBA team.
I think the good thing is he's not scared to suffer the hits, though. And then he's said from the start that the whole ownership group's going to be aggressive and going after people. And as players, that's all you want, is that you want ownership wants to be the best and is going to take steps towards that. And you know that they're, just like we're playing hard on the court, they're doing their job in the ownership.
He came from Boston. He was a minority owner, and all the Boston people really thought highly of him. They thought he was going to do a good job. And as you know, ownership matters with professional basketball.
No question.
And that's a good place for us to end. David Lee and Steph Curry, good luck with the team we'll see in the playoffs. Maybe round 2 Clippers-Warriors showdown.
Perfect. Thank you for having us.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.